Welcome to our September Board of Education meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
The Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pauletta Fryas.
Here.
Boucher. Here. John Green. Scott Latham.
Here.
Brian Tobin.
Here.
In the event of an emergency, visitors are advised that they may exit this room from the one side door which leads into the parking lot. In the event of an emergency, everyone is asked to move away from the building and do not attempt to leave in your automobiles, since this may cause traffic problems and block incoming emergency vehicles.
Thank you. That brings us to our first hearing of visitors. At this time, we request questions and comments be kept to agenda items only. Anybody want to address now? Okay. So then we have our consent agenda, which is our approval of our minutes from the regular meeting of August 25th. Our financial matters, which include our schedule of bills, no treasurer's report, our monthly budget status report, a whole bunch of transfers, extra classroom activity fund, and we're surplusing an old bed and a humidifier, and then we have some contracts for Laurel Associates for the college reps at the college fair, and PLC Associates. And who are the PLC Associates? Again,
They're the ones
That's
that,
that was the one that
they've been working with.
Their PLC Associates is the group that we're working with for our citation that we received in the elementary school a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, and it also includes our CSEs. Did I get everything that it includes?
CSE recommendations.
Right, the CSE recommendations. Any comments or questions about the consent agenda?
Oh,
Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
that was in stereo. Who's first? Okay.
A second.
Second.
There we go, second by Brian. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. And then we have the establishment of our tax levy. Gosh, is it that time already?
Yes, yes.
In June, the taxpayers approved the 2021-2022 general fund budget in the amount of $31,604,000. The tax levy associated with this budget is estimated to be an increase of 1.83% from the 2020-2021 budget. I need a resolution establishing the tax levy for the 2021-2022 school year at $28,106,000.
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Old business? Okay, superintendent's report, Dr. Mora.
So, it's been a great start to the year. I thought for my report, I would share some pictures. I can use this to click it, so, there we go. So this is our new outdoor classroom, which is being used very, very frequently. Every time it's nice out, and then you'll also see some other outdoor areas. Because the weather has been so nice, we've had a lot of outdoor instruction, both under the tent, on the outdoor classrooms, in the bleachers, and in some cases just out on the grass, both in the elementary, which was, was a lot more common, but now at the high school, much more frequently than we've seen. Our kids eat outside there, some of our adults eat outside there, plus we have the tables in the front too, so that's great.
Is it teacher's choice?
Excuse me?
Is it
It's teacher's
if
choice.
they wanna go out
Most of
there?
our teachers choose to go out as much as possible. Even our science teachers, which I was surprised because science teachers are typically very tied to their lab and their stuff. A lot of them have been spending a good amount of time outside. They've worked it out where they can do pieces inside and then they can go outside. They love seeing the kids' faces. They like interacting with them that way. And truthfully, the kids are a lot more animated and a lot more
Are they
outgoing.
using other places besides
Yes.
that one? I mean,
Yeah.
they're just going out in the field and stuff like that?
Well, we have the tented area. We put 6 tables out under there.
Oh, okay.
So we have tables and chairs under the tent right outside the phys ed office. They're using the bleachers, which you saw on the last slide. And then there are times like in English where if they're reading from a certain passage, they could just take their kids outside and plop down anywhere on the grass and use it. Our PE people are outside a lot, And then you see our younger kids, like I said, who are regularly outside. We've been able to start doing a lot of our traditional events that we've had, welcome back breakfasts, our sporting events, are going along really nicely. Spirit Day, which I have another couple pictures later. I was told to mention that this trophy was returned just recently. By one of our board members whose son had it for 10 years.
Not 10. 5.
So, this the trophy that they were talking about?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
5 years.
They pointed it out to me and I wrote
Good
this
thing I
up.
sold my house and found it.
So, you could probably tell better than me. I was out there and everyone was having a great time.
Yeah, no, for sure, yeah.
So,
And the seniors won, of course.
yeah,
Yeah, we
Right?
did.
they did.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me because although this is my second year here, it's my first year for many of these things. So, going out, like we did traditional stuff. I observed teachers. I did things that you do in every regular year, but then there were other things I didn't get to do. A lot of the really fun stuff I didn't get to see or be part of. So it's even more enjoyable for me in doing it. And you see the kids inside with the masks on and off, depending on whether it's mask break time and things like that. But it's been a really nice return to school. We are utilizing a lot of these pictures on our website. We're changing our banners more frequently than we were, so people can see what's going on here more. So there's a feel around the building that there's so much more energy, and it is so much more positive than it was last year. And it's just really nice to see. And that's everybody that works here and everybody that comes here. You can see it with adults and you can see it with kids, and it's really enjoyable. So that's it for me for the
And our
superintendent's
enrollment
report.
numbers have stayed steady?
Our enrollment numbers, it's funny, at the very, very beginning, especially in the elementary, we had a handful of kids that came out here from the city that didn't return to school. The city went back a week later than us. So when we reached out to them, they said, "Oh, I didn't know you started. They're not coming back." In the high school, we've actually got 8 or 9 new kids in. So I will get you updated
Okay,
enrollment
great,
numbers.
great.
I sent them a couple weeks ago, but
Yeah, I just didn't know if they changed.
They, believe it or not, I think they've gone up a little bit in the high school.
If I recall, each building was down about 14 from last year.
Yeah,
in
about
your-
30 for the-
In your
yeah.
original, I think. It
Yeah.
was even, though, between the two buildings, I
Yeah, it
believe.
was
right?
16 and 14, something like that. It was
Something
very
like that.
close.
Okay.
But I'll get you new enrollment numbers. I believe that we've had a few new high school kids, junior, senior high school kids in the last week or so. So I'll get you all that.
I'm guessing we're still graduating a lot more than are coming into the kindergarten classes.
Our biggest dips are in 5th and 6th. That's where we're in the 30s. We go back up, I think our UPK number indicates that we're going to be higher in kindergarten next year than we've been the last few years. Because we have almost 10 or 12 more than what we traditionally, we couldn't really field the UPK program because we couldn't get enough kids. And we have 28, and then we have 2 that because of masks didn't, so we have about 30 that would have been in that program. We have 22 that are going to do before and after care as soon as we can staff it. So anybody who's watching this, if you want to work in before and after care,
That's done
Scope
through
will hire
scope,
you.
though, right? That's not
yeah,
the
it's done through
school line.
scope, but the problem, there's a shortage of
There's a shortage of
people
everything everywhere. Everywhere.
Scope, I spoke to Scope yesterday, they're ready to go, everything's licensed, they have enough kids, and they don't have the staff. So
It's
we
like
just sent,
everything else.
yeah, we just sent stuff out again to people, and they'll take high school kids, like, they'll have 1 adult and 2 high school kids working with 15. So they're open to that. And for high school kids, especially if you're gonna stay local, it's great, because they do tuition reimbursement, and they do a lot of nice stuff.
Have we had any issues with the busing, like other districts have had with not
We have
having enough
not.
bus drivers? Because I know that that's a struggle everywhere on the
And
island.
I can tell you that with the possibility of needing bus drivers in the future because of everything that's going on, we did reach out to Sunrise, and whenever we reached out to them in the past, they had, they've told us we don't have any more, So we have not run into a situation where it has negatively impacted us yet,
Okay.
and I'm hoping it doesn't. But we haven't had that experience. We've been impacted where we've had to push games around. Groups have had to say, hey, either come to us or we're gonna come to you, but when we can't play at 4, we'll have to play at 5.
My understanding, a lot
because-
more on weekends.
Because we're
too
shuttling
now
a bus.
because of
They're
that.
playing on Sundays in some cases because
Yeah,
they
I've
can't
heard
get
that.
drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems worse as you go further in than what we are dealing with, but I'm hoping it doesn't hit us. We've been more impacted, quite honestly, with materials and supplies.
Like everybody else, too.
Yeah, yeah, you know.
The old
football,
supply
yeah,
chain.
We had to borrow helmets for football because we couldn't buy them. You know, we had a large middle school number come out for the Greenport Southold Matatuck team, and they needed a dozen extra helmets. We ended up borrowing them from 3 or 4 different school districts. Because they, you know, the distributors don't have any. They don't have the material to
Nobody's
make
got
them.
it. It's amazing what's,
Yeah, so
okay. That's it, Dr. Moore?
that's it.
Thank you. That brings us to personnel. We've got some childcare leave. Francesca Reardon is going to be extended through July 1, 2022. Stephanie Berberick, her childcare will be effective February 11th, 2022 through the end of the school year. And then we've got entering full-time permanent, Brianna Norbury, who's a probationary appointment effective September, well, she's an employee, she's just changing the,
Yeah.
the time,
Yeah,
the from,
the percentage.
right, from .48 to 10. And then we've got part-time temporary, we've got middle school lead teacher Mike Carver, advisors for the high school chess club Ivan Santiago.
What is a lead teacher? They have someone that organizes the coordination of curriculum and that. I can get Terrence to give me a more finite example.
Or a middle school program that we
Yeah.
started, you know, with the
Maybe we could
advisory.
get an update on the middle
The
school program.
advisory,
the whole
for
middle
the
school program.
advisory and all that other stuff,
So I
correct?
sent you, well, the advisory less so, but I'll get you a full description of it. It definitely incorporates all of that.
I just don't remember having a lead teacher. I mean, I know we had advisory.
We've had it a number of years.
We had it,
Yeah.
it started
Goes back
when we
well
started.
before advisory. But you know what I'll do is I'll get you an update, because I sent you an update about advisory, and Mrs. Johnson doing that. So I'll get you updates on it, exactly what it is.
Okay.
I think it started when we wanted to break out the middle school and keep everything kind of on its own down there. I don't think it happened before then, did it?
We've had a lead teacher for at least 3 years.
Right, but I'm
Right,
just
but
wondering,
that's-
but that was
That's
when
when
we,
advisory
that's when we
started, yeah.
started the
Advisory started.
advisory. Do we
Okay.
really need it if the middle school program isn't, what?
I think it started around the same time as advisory, is my point. But that
Yeah.
we did that.
Probably,
And
Yeah.
I thought the advisory person was the lead person. I thought it was only
It
one
was.
position.
It was.
It's
wasn't
now
it?
2?
I'll check, that was before
Yeah.
me,
Double
so
check
I'll
on
find
Yeah,
out.
because I thought it was one.
Do you want to pull
position.
this and table this?
I would like to.
Okay.
I'll
All right, so
make that.
Judy's going to make a motion to table that, just that for now, the middle school lead teacher. Is there a second?
Thank you,
Brian, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. And then we have SAT coordinator Christina Imbriano. Christina Imbriano is going to replace Francesca Reardon. Mentor pairs for Brittany Penizzo, Tim McCardle, and for Deirdre Mayer, Christina Imbriano. Garden coordinator Deborah Kimmelman. And we have some substitute teachers, substitute aides. And we have junior high boys soccer for a second team, Dave Rydell. Did I get all the, okay, so with the exception of the one that's tabled, is there a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Finance Committee.
No, not at this juncture. I would imagine we're going to start hearing from our auditors sometime soon. Have they been in yet? Yeah, that's what I think.
Right, they were in last week.
Yeah, so I would imagine we'll have something in the next couple of weeks.
Is October 15th still, that's a date in my head that you have.
Yeah.
Is it still that date?
So,
So the plan is to try and have an audit committee meeting before that, and then at the following board meeting to have a recommendation to approve it.
so, Mr. Scheid, I'm sure he'll be in contact with me when they're done, when they're ready for us, correct?
Correct.
Building Committee report. You guys have anything?
For the inspector?
Yeah, he's been, I know he's been out here to see Anthony and to start it. He's very hands-on, very different than the last group.
Once
So,
we get that report, we'll
Yeah.
have a meeting. and then-
When you meet again, can you remind them about outside signage?
Oh, that's already been.
we
Oh,
already,
okay, awesome,
Yeah, I sent you
awesome.
guys, I'll send it again in the update, but I sent you what it will look like. We ordered it all.
Did we? In
You know what, I
Norfolk?
sent it in an email. Yeah, I'll send it again.
Okay, that'd be great, thank you. I may have missed it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Policy Committee report, Scott?
We have 6, 1 new and 5 revised policies for adoption tonight.
Were there any further questions on them, guys? We had the first read last month.
Right.
Making the motion to adopt them, Scott?
Yes,
And is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? New business. Wow, we're really going through this meeting.
Did we get 5605 as part of the update? I didn't print it out. That's the one that is first reading, correct?
No, no, that's
a brand new
a
one. No,
brand
that's
new
right.
one.
Okay, it was part of it.
It's about the voter registration
I
in
do
the
remember
classroom,
it. Yep, okay,
and the others are just revisions.
right. I do remember it. Okay.
Okay?
Yep, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody have any new business?
I would just like, Dr. Morrow, if you could reach out to your colleagues or somehow facilitate either, empirical would be perfect, but anecdotal evidence about the impact that these masks are having on speech development in the lower grades, but in particular in the ESL kids. Because I find it hard to believe that it's not having a negative impact. And, I mean, granted, it's a mandate from the state, and we can't do anything about it, but I'd like to just, see if we could, here in Southold, it's way too small of a sample, but I think, if there's 124 school districts in Nassau and Suffolk County, that's a pretty big enough sample that even anecdotal will be good, but
Okay.
I'm just curious, that's all.
Also, maybe look at Scope, because they're the ones running a lot of these, the UPKs and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then they may have some good data too.
Is that why we increased the speech position?
Well, that's part of the question we have. Is that possibly
How do you,
something?
how do you have speech therapy with a mask on? And if you're taking your mask off for speech therapy, it negates the point of the mask, so.
We do
I'm not
have
gonna
some.
get into that discussion, but I would just like to know if what the impact on development and,
And it's not just speech development, because after the speech development, if there is an impact, is then your phonetic awareness and all of
Yeah.
those other things. Especially if it's articulation issues that we're looking at. So it would be nice to know what could
I'll
be
reach out
happening.
to Melissa Kraus or George Duffy at Scope, and I'll reach out to my peers, see if they're seeing it.
and there's no rush, I'm just,
Yeah, it's an interesting, there was an article in Educational Leadership today about the SEL and special ed impact of it. I only read it, I only got halfway through it, but I'll share it with you also, okay?
Okay, thank you.
We talked a few months back about also utilizing maybe an outside company to do a residency audit. I don't know if we're anywhere, I know it's still, getting school open and all of that.
Yeah.
We've actually talked about it long before you came aboard. And I think we were all in agreement about getting that done. So-
either that or just have everybody re-register.
Right, if that's an
Do you want me
option.
to look into, Chuck, you and I will look into, I don't know if this company, I've never, the only one I ever saw done was in Deer Park, when I was in either Colmac or Sachem. And I don't know how they did it. It was a long time ago.
I don't know if BOCES would offer such a service. That's what we talked about like a couple of years ago.
They changed all of the regulations on what you can and can't do and how you can do it. So
Right,
let me
and-
reach out. I'll start with BOCES, but we'll look into seeing if there is a group that can do that and what the feasibility of, what is allowable. All right?
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other new business? That brings us to our second hearing of visitors. At this time, we will entertain comments and questions about any kind of school matter you want, on the agenda or off the agenda. Would anyone care to address the board at this time? Come on up. Just state your name, please, and where you live when you get to the microphone.
Erin Karen.
Hi, Erin.
I live in Southold. So I was actually going to ask my initial question, but then my daughter just told me something at dinner, so I wanted to ask about that. I think you touched on it. My fifth grader was just telling me at dinner that and it might be about the supply chain issue, that at lunch, if you bring your lunch and you forget a spoon, you brought a yogurt, they can't give you one. And they can't give you napkins, and so she was telling the story. So I'm wondering if it is maybe just a shortage, and if that's the case, maybe a letter can come home to the parents saying, like, make sure your kids have napkins, make sure your kids have spoons, because we don't have them. Or maybe it's just a misunderstanding. But she was saying that and I guess they have to have the orders in the morning, which I understand. They have to know who's eating what. She said a kid in her class dropped his lunch, and they couldn't give him a lunch. Now, I understand they can't do that for everybody, but I'm wondering if it is because there is some sort of just a shortage, I don't know.
I haven't heard anything about it, but I can check.
Okay, so if not, I was just gonna ask, if we could maybe send a letter home to the parents and just say, hey, by the way, we don't have extras, we have what we have, whatever, that's fine. So that was the one thing. The second thing I wanted to ask about is, in light of what happened in August with the drug overdoses, is the high school addressing anything? I know the health class last year they do talk about opiates and everything. Is there any sort of a push to discuss it with the kids?
An additional, like it's part of our curriculum.
I know it's part of the curriculum, and I know I had a ninth grader who learned about it, and actually, it sounds like it was handled really well. But what years do they do that? Is it just in ninth? Is it a continuing thing? Do they start in seventh?
So when it's something like similar to what happened this year, most of that would come up in the current events section of like a social studies class where there'd be conversation in probably every grade, especially because it's a local topic, And that would be a regular, you'd have that in most of your social studies classes. When it comes to health, I don't know if it's spiraled in multiple grades or if it's just I know it's part of our curriculum. I just don't off the top of my head know exactly what years it's taught in. I saw it in a middle school class last year, so I know that it's definitely in middle school, and I also know that it's one of the grades in high school. You were telling me ninth, but I know that I saw them doing projects on opioids, and drugs. When I was walking around and doing observations, they happened to be doing it with a middle school class, addictive drugs and all that. So I know that it's in at least those grades, but I can find out more if you like about specifically when it's part of the state curriculum.
I was just wondering, because it was kind of a big, obviously the high school kids know about it, and it does sound like from what my daughter told me last year, that one of the teachers lost a sibling, and he came in and personally spoke to the kid, and I thought, well, that was excellent, because it was a firsthand experience.
Is it done through health classes in ninth grade?
It's done through health classes in a couple grades.
Right, and because that's in the younger grades, maybe there's certainly a need, but if there's a way to incorporate it in a curriculum in the 11th or 12th grade is what Erin's saying, I think.
Yeah, and I'm saying even because I know they take health in sixth, it seems so young, but I don't know, is
I think
anybody
it's
too
probably
young for
discussed
anything
down
at this
there.
point,
I think it starts in.
Yeah, does it? Okay, yeah.
But then they have
I know
the
they
DARE-
start with vaping and
And they have
whatever,
the
which
DARE
is great.
program.
Yeah, that's true,
And I
so.
think that really spends a lot of time. I think, up here more at the older grades, reinforcement is probably super important.
And I do
At least,
know
yeah.
that in the past, we've had different
Speakers for
speakers and
everybody.
stuff like that
Yes.
come in that
We had one
really.
already this year, I can't
Right.
remember.
Oh,
So
good,
we have
okay.
them.
Oh, that's great.
I don't know
That's
if
the
it was
point, is
drug
that,
related, but we had somebody that it was one of those topics.
Right.
Maybe a drug, one of those.
Yeah.
and I know, because I know I went to
I'll get more information about it, though.
Thank you.
a presentation, at one point, we had somebody who did the neuroscience of addiction. And, I remember I went with some of my kids, because they opened it up to parents and this and that and everything else. So, I think looking for those programs is always something we can do. I think there's always room to do at least one of those a year. And it could be from somebody who's rehabilitated or from somebody who's looking at it from a scientific point of view.
Yeah, yeah.
If assemblies is too overwhelming, maybe phys ed classes are smaller and more intimate to really.
I think that's why it works in health, maybe,
Right,
because
you
it
have
is.
to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And the reality is
exactly.
we've lost almost 2 years of any kinds of opportunities for stuff like
That's a
that.
good point.
So,
Yeah.
that would be something I think Mrs. Santiago, she's usually on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she'll-
regularly
she's
does
always
those
looking
types
to
of
do that. So even if
I think
she's
Lori
already-
Mara does too, through health.
Who's that?
Lori
Oh,
Mara.
Mara.
That's where I
Yeah.
saw it. That's why I saw
Yeah,
it.
that's where-
Hey, can we do
Yeah.
this stuff?
I'm just thinking unfortunately, sounds like it's becoming an even bigger problem, So as much as we save one kid from doing something stupid,
You're right, Erin, thank you.
So, all right, that was it, thank you.
Thanks, Erin.
No problem.
Does anybody else care to address the board at this time? No? Nobody else? Okay. That brings us to our board member commentary. Mr. Okula, would you like to introduce yourself
Yeah.
and tell us what is going on in Southold Junior Senior High School, please? Thank you.
I'm David Okula. I'm the student council president, and Dr. Morrow touched upon like a lot of it, but it's definitely a good feel in the school right now. The beginning of this school year compared to the beginning of last school year, because obviously at the start of last school year we were still going every other day. Sports didn't come back till late in the year, and now this school year having everything back right away, especially with sports, being able to go to sports games, play sports. It's been a nice feel to have, and then obviously going outside for classes because inside we still need the masks on, but being able to go outside as much as possible, like in gym class, pretty much every time the weather's nice, we've been going outside, even in other classes like my English class. We've been going outside as much as possible, just either when reading or just working on something, just to try to get outside and get some fresh air. Yeah, but it's definitely been a good feel in the building. Everything getting close to back to normal, as close as possible at this point. And yeah, Spirit Day was really good. I think pretty much every kid enjoyed Spirit Day. I saw like even if they, because specific activities, you could only have 10 or so kids on each, but the kids that weren't playing were getting into it, they were watching, and all kids pretty much got involved at some point. So that was a great event to have, again, back at the beginning of the school year. We had something at the end of last school year, but have it back right away was really a good thing to have. And yeah, to see all the kids getting involved again, the kids, just the happiness from like the kids during Spirit Day was good to see.
So as we tell every student, right, each and every year, please bring us your thoughts, the thoughts of the student body, because that's who you represent, what's going on, what you want us to know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And when we can offer help, we will. Quite often, we'll send it back to administration, because a lot of it's really up to your administrators, who are Dr. Mora and Mr. Rush, of course, but we want to kind of hear it all, and we hope you have a great school year.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Mr. Latham.
Just glad school's open. Everybody looks like they're having fun. Tony, I'm glad you're finally getting to experience what it's like to be the superintendent here at Southold and not just the guy that swoops in after COVID and has to, preside over a ghost town. So I'm looking forward to it. That's it.
Thank you. Brian?
Jim said it perfectly. Mr. Latham, so welcome back, everybody.
I echo those thoughts. I will make a comment about, I thought homecoming was great this past weekend, and big thanks to everybody that made it happen. It was really great to see, again, all of that activity out there, and the kids and the parents and the community members. It's something that's fairly new. It hasn't been around in Southold for generations, certainly, so it was really great to see. And I will make a comment here that our work session is October 13th, for anybody that cares to come, and our next regular meeting will be October 27th. I think unless we're having student presentations of any kind, we'll meet in here, is that correct? Yep. But if there's student presentations where we need the stage or we've got large groups going, then we'll meet in the auditorium and we'll try and post it accordingly so that people know where to find us. It just is, we like it here, it's more intimate, and we're very excited when we redid this space to be able to hold them here. So I just need a motion for adjournment. Wow, 7:30.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you for coming.